Playing competitive Splatoon is a super fun and fulfilling experience, and it can also be super intimidating to try to get into if you don't know where to start. So I'm going to cover everything in as much detail as I can so that you feel like you know what you're getting into, including not just how to get on a team, but also what it's actually like to be on one. Let's just start out by saying that there is no skill requirement to start playing on a competitive team and start competing in tournaments. You don't even need to be particularly hardcore about grinding comp. You can be casually competitive and play on a team that doesn't take things too seriously and is just there to have a good time. Or you could be working to become the best of the best. There are teams for all skill and commitment levels. The only stipulation is that the lower rank you are, the harder it likely will be to find a team of a similar level, since people who want to play comp are typically more dedicated to the game, which results in a higher rank. It's common for people to start getting into comp around S or S+, but you could have had the game for a week and decide to start, or already be a 3000 X power player before starting. That being said, being good at solo teaches you a lot of really important skills, and while many of those skills can be learned in a comp setting as well, it's going to be much more efficient for you to learn them in solo a lot of the time, as long as you know what to work on. So feeling solid about your fundamentals before trying out for a team is generally a good idea. Before we get too deep into things, I want to bring up divisions, as it's a term that I'll be using a lot throughout this video. Divisions are a system for categorizing team skill levels based off of tournament results, which are used for fighting scrims against team of a similar level to you, and to determine whether or not you're allowed to play in skill-capped tournaments. Divs are assigned to teams through leagues under the Ink, or Ludi, which is a tournament league that happens around once a year. During Ludi, teams are assigned a division, then compete against teams within their division over the course of the season. Div X are top-level teams, Div 1 to 2 are high-level, Div 3 to 4 are mid-level, and everything 5 and under is low-level, with 7 and below being more like entry-level. The lowest division this season was Division 10, but that kinda just depends on how many teams are participating. Teams may estimate their div between seasons using their ability to win against teams of a certain division, or by being banned from skill cap tournaments. For example, if you're banned from a Div 7 cap tournament, but you're not winning in Div 5 cap tournaments, you probably would estimate yourself around 6 or 5. The very first thing that you want to do when getting into competitive Splatoon is to make an account on the competitive Splatoon hub Sendou.ink, as this is where pretty much the entire competitive community is hosted these days. I'll be talking a lot about it throughout this entire video. And now that that's out of the way, yeah, you technically can go straight into a tryout without any competitive experience. But if you'd like to get some experience playing with a team before looking for tryouts, you have some options. Getting some experience before trying out is also a good way to get an idea of what skill level you're at, so that you don't try out for teams below or above your skill level without realizing. To start, I recommend looking into subbing and pickup scrims, Sendou.ink, and 8s. Scrim is short for scrimmage, and is when two teams practice against each other to prepare for competitive tournaments. Sometimes teams will be down a member for the night and need a sub, or a few people on different teams will want to practice and put together a pickup. Either way, you can find pings for them in any server that has scrims. Here's some examples. Lots of links in the description for all of this. If you're totally new and not sure what division to play with, I recommend starting with low division pickups like 8 to 10, the lowest 3 divisions, and then work your way up the divisions until you hit a div that feels good for your level. Not everyone will start at the lowest division in terms of their skill. Sendou.ink is a community-made matchmaking system that's kind of adjacent to a pickup scrim and is hosted on the competitive Splatoon hub Sendou.ink. You put together a team of 4, either by queuing up with a pre-made team of 4, or you can queue up as a solo player and put together a team with other people currently online. Then you request to play against another team that's online and play a best of 7 set against them. Your last option is playing 8s. 8s is a format where you find any 8 players, then randomize them into 2 teams, splitting them up based on role. The 2 main servers for this are going to be Excalibur 8s and low-level 8s. And if you want to practice doing comms or coordinating with other players casually and open, you can also just ping in a looking for group channel in a comp server and ask if anyone is down to help you out. People are nice and enjoy helping new players. It's also a good way to start making connections with no stakes in those interactions. If you want to try to get some tournament results before applying to a team, since some teams require results when recruiting, you can sub for tournaments or play with a pickup. Finding pickups or teams that need a sub for a tournament basically works the same as how I described it earlier with scrims, or you can find a specific tournament that you want to play on Sendou, go to the LFG tab, and put yourself up for grabs. Include your general skill level in your notes. It'll take your weapon pool and if you're able to voice chat from your Sendou.ink settings, so make sure that that's set up. Teams might hit you up before the tournament, or if something happens mid-tournament and a team is down a player for whatever reason, they'll hit up players on the sub list to cover that spot. The last thing you want to do before applying for teams is decide on a weapon pool. I recommend choosing 1 to 3 weapons that you want to commit yourself to pushing. More than that can be spreading yourself too thin and cause you to improve slower. You also need to consider logistically how and if you would be able to play all of the weapons in your pool on one team. To be the most functional in a team setting, these weapons ideally will be similar in role or playstyle. For example, you might have a midline player who plays weapons with all different mechanics, but fill the same midline slot of a team. This helps keep everyone's jobs consistent and makes it easier to slot everyone's weapons together into comps. There are cases where you can make a pool of very different weapons work, but it requires requires your teammates to also be really flexible to work around it. A lot of the time what happens for people with this type of weapon pool is that they end up just playing one of their weapons all the time because it's what works best for their team. One-tricking a weapon is totally fine, and I'm actually personally a big fan of one-tricking since it allows you to really master certain skills. Just understand that depending on how unconventional your weapon pool is, you might have a harder time finding teammates who play weapons that synergize with yours. You don't need to be chained down to your initial weapon pool, and you can always talk to your team about learning new weapons or switch teams if you decide that you want a new pool that would totally not work with your current team. Just start with what you feel good with at the moment, and you can also include if there's weapons that you would like to start learning. Once you're ready to start trying out for teams, you'll need to make a free agent post or FA post. This is kind of like your competitive resume. The minimum standard information that people expect in an FA post are your name or IGN, rank, age, which could just be over or under 18 if you don't want to be specific, weapon pool, experience level, and availability. I also recommend including information about what you're looking for in a team and or goals that you have competitively. This could be anything like if you're looking for a more or less hardcore experience, the kind of people you enjoy playing with, team playstyle that you're looking for, or just anything that you think is relevant. FA servers usually have a template pinned that you can fill out, but yours doesn't have to exactly match the template if you want to include more information. You can use the same FA post across different servers even if their template is different. Here's an example of what someone's FA post might look like as an entry-level player. After you've made your FA post, you'll want to post it in FA channels. Many comp orgs have channels for recruitment, here are some popular ones, but there's also an entire server for free agents and team recruitment. I'll link it in the description. And a lot of recruitment happens in just that one server, so if you want to stick with one server for your search, you'll be fine with just that one. That particular server has different channels for different div recruitment, so you can narrow down your search for teams at your level more easily. After posting your FA post, you could just sit around and wait to see if any team reaches out to you, but honestly, it's not that likely that doing that will get you anywhere. At low level, no one knows who you are, and there are a ton of FAs, so it's quite possible that no one will reach out to you directly unless they're looking for something super specific that you happen to fill. What you'll want to focus on is applying directly to teams that are recruiting. There's a channel for team recruitment posts where captains will say what their team is looking for. Here's an example of what a recruitment post might look like, and this is actually a real one that I used for my team. Now it's time to apply for teams. Recruitment posts will usually include information about current members, what general role or weapon pool they're looking for, what skill level they're looking for, and other relevant information about team scheduling and goals. You're gonna go browse through team recruitment posts and pick out the ones that you fit the description of what they're looking for that also align with what you want out of a team. What age range are you comfortable playing with? How much time do they want to practice each week? Does your weapon pool fit in well with the other weapons on the team? Or maybe you don't know exactly what you're looking for yet and you'll just have to figure it out as you go. Everything is a learning process. When it comes to individual skill, teams will usually say that they're looking for a minimum rank or X power, or may want a certain level of comp experience. Unless they specify otherwise, the required X power that they list just means that they want you to have hit that peak power at some point, not necessarily that you currently have it. Someone could have peaked at 2000 X power but have lost all their points and now currently be at 1700, but they would still qualify as a 2000 X power player. For divisions, they might say something like Div 6 skill level with results, meaning that they want examples of Div 6 level teams that you have beaten in tournament. Winning matches against a team in a scrim does not count for anything because they're just practice. If you haven't played in any tournaments before, you most likely won't be trying out for these teams who expect results. Teams will often have a set of traits that they require and some traits that are just preferred but not required. If you think that a team is perfect for you but you're just barely missing one requirement like being 1900 X power instead of 2000, it doesn't hurt to reach out and ask if they'd be willing to make an exception. Just be respectful and understand if they say no. And try not to waste anybody's time by applying for teams that are looking for something totally different than what you have to offer. Once you find a team that looks like it could be a good fit, send them a DM with either a forwarded version or a copy-pasted version of your FA post. If you're not sure what else to say, I usually open with something like, "Hey, I saw your team recruitment post and thought we might be a good fit. Here's my FA post." But you can say whatever feels right for your personality. Some teams might reply with some follow-up questions, but from there, they'll either offer you a tryout or reject your application. Don't sweat it if you get rejected anywhere, it's just part of the process. There's a decent amount of variety for what a tryout might look like at low level. Some tryout processes will be over in a few hours, and some may take many weeks to complete depending on the captain's discretion. Most commonly, the first time that you meet with a team you're trying out for, you'll be playing in a scrim. But if it's a team that leans more casual, or maybe doesn't have enough players for a scrim yet, you might just place them open. Something important to note is that tryouts are just as much about personality as they are about individual skill. It doesn't matter how cracked you are, no one is going to want to play with you if you're rude. And on the other hand, if you get along really well with a team, they're more likely to give you a chance regardless of how well you played in that particular scrim. Just don't force yourself to be someone that you're not to get on a team. There is a team out there that is right for you exactly as you are, as long as you're not a jerk. Try to be relaxed and be yourself during tryouts. Some teams might include a VOD review or coaching session as part of the tryout process. If you're trying to get on a team that has goals to grind through the ranks, you want to show them that you're willing and even happy to get feedback about how to improve. They might also be looking to see the way that you think about the game, and if you're able to independently recognize ways that you can improve. Asking good questions and showing that you understand and respond well to feedback feedback is important here. There are teams that would rather take someone thoughtful about the game with room to grow mechanically than someone who's mechanically cracked who thinks that they can do no wrong. Eventually, you'll either get a DM accepting or rejecting you, or they might just tell you in a call after a session. Remember that you don't have to accept the first team to offer you a position. You are trying them out as much as they're trying you out. Don't compromise on what you want from your team. The right one will come around, and you don't want to get stuck with a team that isn't a good fit for you. The community is quite small, so it's likely that you'll see the teams that you don't make it on around in the future. Even if you don't make it on a team, if you got along with them, they can still serve as a connection in the future for scrims, pickups, and might be able to connect you with other teams that are recruiting. Knowing people in this scene is a huge advantage that you should be aware of. Try to stay respectful and friendly with everyone you meet. Another amazing resource for getting into comp is the Stronghold Beginners Academy by the comp.org Splatoon Stronghold. This is a project where you can apply as an individual player, and they will match you onto a team with a coach and a manager. You'll practice together for a 5-week season, and at the end, all of the teams in the academy that season will play in a tournament against each other as a form of graduation. These teams may or may not stay together after the graduation. This is such a good resource, and you should definitely check out Stronghold's website and Discord for more information. There are limited spots, so if you get rejected and your goal is to get on a team as quickly as possible, you might have better luck just applying directly to teams. So you made it on a team. Yay! Now what? It's up to you guys to decide how quickly you want to move. You might choose just to play open for a bit to get to know each other, or immediately start scrimming but not competing, or go straight into tournaments. Outside of practice, I recommend doing non-comp team building too. Do some silly stuff in open, play another game, watch a show, whatever you guys enjoy doing. But it's important to have a relationship with permanent teammates outside of just comp, as it allows for stronger communication between members, which can prevent future issues. And it's just fun. Traditionally, the captain is in charge of fighting scrims, but some teams opt to split up responsibilities between members and let everyone have a hand in those decisions. Or they might have a dedicated scrim manager in addition to the captain. Occasionally you might find a team with a dedicated team manager who does not play on the team, though this is currently not super common practice. The two primary places to find scrims are on Sendou.ink and in the servers of tournament orgs. You can also reach directly out to teams around your level in DMs. Captains often have their Discord publicly available on their Sendou so that you can DM them. If you have no idea what level you should be scrimming at, just start with Div 8 to 10 scrims and work your way up from there until you find a level that is challenging but not a complete steamroll. Scrims typically last 1 to 2 hours, and you'll be practicing maps that you would be playing in tournaments. The comp scene tends to only play particular map mode combinations, as a lot of the options are, yeah, not great, so we only use the ones that are the most competitively viable. While there's no 100% universal map pool, most people are on a similar page about which maps are better than others. If you're new and aren't familiar with what map modes are commonly used in tournaments, open up a couple Sendou tournaments and pull from their map lists. There's a few ways you might decide what maps to play in a scrim. Most commonly, I see people either going straight through a specific tournament map list, letting the host pick all, or both teams bringing a few specific maps that they want to work on. It's all just preference though, just communicate with the other team about what you want. Teams might want to replay certain matches if they want to try something else. And always make sure to say GG's at the end. Again, you want to make friends with everyone. For teams who really want to improve, it's a great idea to find coaching. Many coaches volunteer their time for free just because we enjoy it. If you're serious about improving, I highly recommend finding either an individual coach for your weapon, or a coach for your whole team to improve your coordination and strategy. You can search for coaches in the regular FA server, or you can make a post on Sendou for it. And the Splatoon peer review server is also a really great resource that I recommend. There's also the option of paid coaching on Metafy. If you're a solo player who feels like they might want to get better fundamentals before joining comp, but isn't sure what to work on, coaching might be a good option for you as well. Once you've gotten some scrims under your belt as a team, it's time for your first tournament. There are two main types of tournaments: skill-capped and open level. Skill-capped tournaments ban players above a certain skill threshold, often associated with the Ludi division, and are most common for lower divisions, while open level tournaments are played by everyone. Some common skill-capped tournaments include World 9, a Div 9 cap tournament, FTIU, a Div 7 cap tournament, Div 5 caps are Low-ink, Milk Cup, and A for 1, and a Div 3 cap is Tri-Strike Tuesday. There's a ton of open level tournaments, but Swim or Sink is an excellent one run weekly. Currently, pretty much every tournament is hosted on Sendou, so you can just check out their tournament page to see if there's anything you're interested in trying. While it's common for low-level players to primarily play skill cap tournaments, I really recommend getting into open-level tournaments or mid-level skill cap tournaments as soon as you can if your goal is to improve quickly. Skill-capped tournaments are great for morale, getting your feet wet, and keeping a metric on your progress, but you learn more from losing to good players than winning against bad players, and exclusively playing low-level skill cap tournaments can give you misunderstandings about the game, as players at that level will be unable to counter strategies that don't deserve to work, and will make similarly questionable decisions that you won't see elsewhere. Learning to counter these teams is good, but it should not be the extent of your experience if you want to become mid-level. Speaking of mid-level, not every player who's brand new to comp should be starting at the lowest division of teams. Solo queue experience is extremely valuable, and if you're good at solo, you'll be good at comp. The exact skill level at which it's appropriate to straight up skip low level and go straight into mid-level seems to vary based on opinion, but it's probably at minimum top 500 in X, though the XP to achieve top 500 can vary season to season depending on the amount of players. If you're new and you believe you're at a skill level where you should just skip low level, pickups and networking are going to be your best bet. Most mid-level teams require showing tournament results against teams of a similar level to try out. So joining one when you're brand new to comp with no results can be tricky, even if you might have the skill to back it up. Play some pickups in open level tournaments to get results, make some mid-level friends who believe in your abilities and play on teams with them, or have them vouch for you to get tryouts for other mid-level teams. And if you believe that you don't belong in low level but you can't make it on a team, just don't play in low-level tournaments. Open-level tournaments are there for a reason. Something super important not to forget is to be active in the community. The whole point of playing comp instead of just being a solo queue warrior is the people. If you're doing it for the glory or whatever, you are playing the wrong game. Most of the comp scene is on Blue Sky, so get on Blue Sky, watch Twitch streams, befriend the teams you scrim against, post your clips on TikTok, whatever your style is. You're gonna be seeing most of these teams a lot, so it's important to build good relationships with them. There are also LANs that you can go to. This server keeps tabs on LANs coming up, and Splatoon Stronghold has this interactive Splatoon LAN map. You can go just to watch or to compete, and you don't need any comp experience to do either. I know players who the only tournaments they've ever played in are local LANs. Connect with people in that LAN server, put together a pickup, and go play. From there, the rest of comp is just a cycle of learning and improving. It's important when setting goals that you have some actionable goals that are based on literally just the effort that you put into them. Sure, your end goal might be to achieve a certain Ludi division, but there's only so much of that that's in your own control. Part of it just comes down to how many teams play Ludi that season. So you want to include goals that will help you achieve that end goal. So this is things like, I'm going to meet with my coach every other week. I'm going to play a tournament every other week. I'm going to play solo this many hours a week. These are things that you literally achieve just by deciding to do them. No one else has any say in whether or not you achieve them. Find a healthy mix of both types of goals. And that should do it for the basics of how to get into comp. If I missed anything, please make sure to ask me in the comments and I will try my best to get to everyone's questions. Best of luck, you guys, and see you next time.